Hello and welcome back to the U Up Podcast Sunday Special. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. We are very excited. It's a special episode, as always, on a Sunday, but extra special today because we have a special guest.
Very special guest.
She is one of the hosts of The Daily Show. Sometimes host, hilarious comedian, and author of the new book, Hello Friends, Stories of Dating, Destiny, and Day Job. Dulcé Sloan, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And you guys know each other.
Oh,
yes.
we go way back.
Yes. I have a nail picture of, so I did this thing on my Instagram where I take, whenever I get my nails done, to showcase my nails being did, I take a picture of like on a man's body part. So like a chest, an ab, newly dyed waves. And so I have a picture of Jared's thigh.
Yes.
With my nails on it. And
we couldn't find my ab.
I don't need no ab. I needed that thigh, Hanny. And so it's funny because it's just like I had on like this pretty like pearl ring with like stones around it. It's not a real ring, but it's from Macy's. So nice costume jewelry. And my hand is on his leg, and it's on like the middle finger of my left hand. And I started getting in like all these comments were like, "Congratulations!" And I was like, "I don't think y'all know how this works." Also,
you don't know the finger,
right? Also, what a wild ass engagement announcement. Because you're like, "Hey, here's this man's leg,"
right?
Because it's his
That's
whole
a real
crotch.
soft launch.
Yes, it's his whole crotch in the picture.
Sometimes people do that like engagement picture that's like a little too sexual. You ever see those where you're like, what do they do? Like this was like, it looked like it for a romance novel.
Make out?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'm happy that anyone else has hogtied someone and doesn't have to wake up by themselves every morning.
Well, let's talk about that because you have a book out and everyone, we want you to go buy it. It's like, would you describe it as like memoir and essay form?
Well,
how would you describe it?
It's kind of like that because like I wanted to call it, don't call it a memoir. I'm only 39. But the publisher was like, well, let's not tell people what it's not. And I was like, okay, I hear you, but that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And so that's how we ended up with the name because I was like, go, hello, friends, which I think is fun to say, and then to tell people about what it is. And so I see it as essays. And so I wrote the book because my manager tricked me. And he called me up one day and he was like, hey, what if you wrote a book? And I was like, that sounds hard. No, thank you. And he's like, well, what if you just took a meeting? And I was like, I'll always take a meeting.
Let's chit chat.
Yeah, let's just say let's take a meeting. And then 4 meetings later, this man called me and was just like, yo, you got to write a book.
And from that meeting, they were like, we want it.
Because like it was like this meeting and then I was like, well, it was it's like that meeting and then you write a proposal and you meet with other people. And then just like, then they're like, okay, so this company called Anscape, who's owned by Disney, bought the proposal.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, they bought the idea for the book from the proposal. And I was like, oh, damn it. I got to write a book.
Right.
now.
Money's in the bank. Now I got to write it.
Right. So you're just like, we're putting money in your account, ma'am. Come up off these pages.
Now you owe them. Yeah.
Now I truly owe them. But the crazy thing is when you write a book, they pay you 3 times. They don't pay your advance all at once.
Mm-hmm.
They pay you when you sign the contract and then when you submit the finished book and then the day the book gets published, as in like when it gets released to the general public. So they pay you 3 times. But like I didn't get paid. It's just like, so it goes over like a year, 2 years almost is how long it takes to get all 3 of these payments.
Right.
So
then you got to earn out your payment to make more money.
Right. And so then they get their, so you don't get royalties until they get their advance back. So
So I guess makes it hard to be motivated to write these things? Like for me, that would be like, if there's, a third of the money, I'd be like, fuck it. Like it would like slip my mind.
Well, some of these publishers have contracts where just like, if you don't give them a book, they get their money back.
Yeah, well, that would motivate me.
Right. And so it took like a year to write and I was still doing Daily Show, still doing the cartoon, still on the road, touring and stuff. So it was a lot. And so because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to even start to do this. So I called Michelle Buteau because she just had her book Survival of the Thickest come out. And I was like, how the fuck do I do this?
Right.
And she said to start at a place where like, start with stories that were too long to tell on stage.
Okay.
So, sometimes stuff just needs more setup or it's just like, hey, here's something that happened when I was a kid.
Right.
and you need so much setup for it. So it's just too long to tell the story on stage.
And in a stand-up club, especially like American stand-up clubs, like they're like, get to it.
Right.
You know, if you might need a moment of silence through a story to get people to a place to hear the fun part of it. So I would understand that's made for more writing than it is the stage.
Right. And so I started with like, okay, here's comedic stories that I want to tell on stage about like being a kid and dating and like working in day jobs and stuff. And then I'm like, okay, people are going to know about my childhood and, you know, how I got on the Daily Show and like, you know, me doing theater and stuff like that. And so that's how I kind of, so I see it like as a collection of essays. I don't really, I guess it's a memoir. I guess that's the way to put
Right.
it.
Well,
I guess.
Can you tell us about some of like the dating stories that you've, without giving any too much away?
Well, one of the
Like,
dating stories, I talk about how the guys, I don't use their real names in the book, but two, I don't use their real names in real life.
Why don't you do that
Why don't I use their names?
in real life?
You don't want to get sued.
No. In real life, I don't use their names. So it's just like my friends only knew him as the mechanic.
Why? Was there a reason you did that?
Because he
like,
lost the use of his name.
Okay, explain
Okay.
that.
Because he was acting like an asshole. So he lost
Okay.
the use of his name. So like, and then there's another dude I was talking to who was the dummy because he was dumb, and that was his best friend. But then there was like UPS guy. There's a guy there's like a guy recently, there's the Italian, and then there's the liar.
Man, the liar really lost out on a good nickname. You know, like I'd rather be the mechanic than the liar.
Right.
I mean, it gets straight down to business.
Right.
So,
What's Jared
you know,
in your phone as? What's Jared in your phone as?
my love.
That's
There
right.
you go. Yeah.
I love it.
But I know me and Jared's love could never be. So that's all right. Well, I'll have a crush on
Well,
Jared.
he doesn't want to become the liar, so that's probably
Right,
part
I
of
wanna-
the. Yeah.
You wouldn't lie
liar
to
I wanna
me.
keep
the
my
liar
good
part
nickname.
two.
You would never
No.
lie to me.
Ever.
No,
Well-
Jared is too nice to lie to me. But
So are those people in your phone as those names also?
well, the mechanic, his number hasn't been saved in my phone since the first Obama administration. But I told him that he was in the book. So neither one of our phones are
You told
saved.
him.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
How'd
like,
you get in touch?
I called him.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. We were both talking about it. We were joking about it. Like, neither one of us has each other's number saved in their phone. But we started talking in 2007. So we know each other's numbers.
You just memorize? You have it memorized?
I mean, I've known him for so long.
Wow,
It's
okay.
like my mom, like his number, my mom's number,
Okay.
the old number for Pizza Hut. Like, there's only a few 911. Like, there's only a few numbers that you know.
Right.
And his number is one of those numbers.
And you don't save it because he doesn't deserve it.
No, why would he be in my phone? He's married.
Okay.
Yeah, he's married now. His number can't be in my phone. So, like, last January, I opened for Trevor, and he was in the audience.
No.
In Atlanta.
Did he know you were going to be there?
No.
Okay.
And so when I talked to him later, he was standing there with his wife, and he was just like, yeah, I bought tickets because I thought you'd be here because of how tight you and Trevor seem to be at the desk. And so the tickets went on sale in like October or something, like October, November. So he bought a ticket October, November. The show was in January. I didn't know I was going to be on the show till 3 days before. And what was so crazy about it is that he would refuse to come see me do stand-up.
Well, this is interesting because, you know, famously Jordana on this show had you know, a situationship that showed up at our live show in Vancouver.
Vancouver?
Yes.
Well, he happened to be in.
He happened to be
in
there
Vancouver, yeah.
and came to
I
the
think.
show.
Yeah,
Well, we
right.
think.
So he says.
Right.
Yes, right.
Because y'all ain't, no.
We didn't know.
No, y'all aren't a thing.
No.
I'm just making sure. I'm listening. Just trying to do. I just want to know where we at.
Wouldn't I have told you that before I got on the show?
I mean, I did say I had a crush on you, and she had no response or reaction. So that should have been my
Right.
question. To
Oh.
But maybe she don't mind
Excuse
because she's like, yeah,
How could you? Yeah.
like, oh, you could have a crush on my man. I'm gonna see his dick later. Like, I don't could care less, man.
Well, what do you think that is? Like the showing up, thinking you might be there, knowing that there's a history that's not really like.
In the same way that the only time other than accidentally seeing me, was he showed up to a play that I was doing when I was dating someone else.
Okay. And did he text you after the play, before the play? Like,
No, I invited, he's like, I'm going to come. Cause like he was fixing my car one time. And I was like, you know, this play that I've been in for a year and a half that I've been asking you to come to? He's like, yeah. I said, the last week is like these dates. And so he ended up coming. But then, you know, like when you go see someone in a play or you come see someone in a show, you wait till the end of it to talk to that person.
Right. Wait out front.
I get there, he's gone. And I was like, where are you? He was like, oh, I had to go meet up my grandpa. And I was like,
grandpa?
Sure. He was helping his grandpa was sick, so he was going to help his grandpa.
Okay. The play ended. What time did the play end?
Did you comp the ticket?
The middle of the day.
Oh, okay.
Did you comp the ticket?
There was a comping of a ticket.
Okay.
But what was so interesting about that, so there's a girl, so I talk about it in the book. I met his ex at a show. No, me and her I met his ex because we were extras in a movie together.
Okay.
And mind you, while me and this girl are talking, I don't want to spoil like the whole rest of the story, but basically, me and this girl had a lot in common. I'll say that. And so so the show that he came to see, the role that I was playing, she also auditioned for it and didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So then she's like, she wants to come see me in the show. And I was like, yeah, sure, I don't care. And that's before I know the bitch was nuts. Because I got her comp ticket, whatever, it takes like $25. And I was like, yeah, come. And then right before that same night that she's gonna come, she goes, oh, I asked the mechanic to come and he said he can't make it. And I was like, why the fuck would you ask him to come with you to see me?
Right.
Because when I met her, she was telling me that she was doing plays and stuff too, and he wouldn't come see her either. So he wouldn't go see, and they were actually
Guy does not like the theater.
No, apparently, or being supportive of the women he's in a relationship with. So I was never the girlfriend in name, right? She was the girlfriend in name. I never was. I was just around for 8 fucking years.
So, can we back up here?
Yeah.
I want like the full story because it sounds like a classic situation that a lot of the listeners go through with this on again, off again. Sounds like a situationship type thing without a real label for many years.
But
right?
also I kept buying used cars, so it was like. But also,
what do you mean by that?
Like literally because he's a mechanic.
Oh, okay.
Well, how did you guys meet? Take us back. Us to the beginning.
I thought it was another nickname for the guys.
Yeah,
that's what I. Right.
Like,
I thought it was a used car.
It was like a liar.
It's very much like the liar lied to me for 5 months.
Uh-huh.
The Italian was Italian.
Right.
And the man is a mechanic.
Okay.
Right.
So
okay.
Your car breaks down, has an issue in 2007. You go to get your car fixed. You strike up something with this guy.
So I used to manage an auto body shop, and this is like 2007, so like 2 years out of college. I used to manage an auto body shop. He worked at a dealership that was literally down the street. And so my car there was something wrong with like the air filtration system. So sometimes when I would turn, the car would turn off because the car was basically suffocating. Mm-hmm. So the air wasn't coming in to combust the gasoline to keep the car moving sometimes when I would turn. So the car would suffocate and turn off. And so I basically was like, I can't keep going through this. So
I'm saying, like I've ever dealt with a car thing.
It sounds like something that could happen.
That'll be $7,000. Yep. Okay.
This is New York versus LA. We don't even know what a car is.
Right. And I grew up in Atlanta, so everybody you start driving when you're 13. Mm-hmm. So I pull the car up. Now, mind you, his roommate was the parts guy, and the auto body shop I worked at would get parts from them. And so I would talk to his redneck roommate on the phone all the time. Roommate comes in one day a couple months before we see each other. We were just like, because we'd been flirting on the phone for months. And he came in one day, we both went, nah. And so he started telling his roommate about me, and that's the mechanic. And so I meet him, and I see him, and I'm just like, and I just get this feeling, like something just told me you're going to know this man for a long time. And I didn't know what that meant.
Sexual chemistry.
That I don't know.
That happens though. You walk into a room, you see someone, you kind of go.
It's like a pheromone thing.
Right.
Because it wasn't, I don't know if it was like a sexual, it was just like, he was just intriguing to talk to.
Vibed.
There was just like a vibe. But there was just something like I saw him and I just heard something tell me you're going to know this man for a long time. And I knew what that meant. And so I meet him. My car is not drivable. We kept turning off wherever it was. And so we worked down the street from each other, and then he lived 12 minutes from my house. And his mom lived around the corner from me. Mm-hmm. So the first day I meet him, he ends up driving me home, and I'm on the phone with my mom because at one point I had to tell him, can you tell my mom that you're not going to kill me? Because my mother was like, let me talk to him to make sure you're not going to die. And I was like, all right. And he's like, I'm not going to kill your daughter? And she's like, okay, good. And
have fun.
And then...
Well,
yeah, so we went back and forth from me.
So you start dating.
Yeah, but this was like I think about like 23 to like 31.
That's how long you guys were
Went back and
on
forth.
again.
I get
off.
it. Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting? There's a line in your book about it talks about scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea of scarcity, when you're like, even the way you guys are starting is like how situationships start.
Mhm.
Yeah.
12 minutes down the block, the mom around the corner, we
Yeah.
work near each
comfy,
other. There's
right.
comfortability.
There's a vibe.
There's a vibe.
Yeah.
I can trust him. Hey, I won't kill your daughter.
Yeah.
Like
Nice
things
to
like
hear.
that. And it is one of those things that like you don't look until you're in it, you don't realize it. Cause like it's hard to be scarce for someone that makes you feel so comfortable.
Well, because it wasn't the sex that kept me around. I'll definitely tell you that.
What
Yeah.
was it?
Because that's what it was the comfortable. It's just
Okay.
like he's down
Right.
the street.
Mhm.
But it was always because
And
it's-
familial, I would
right,
think in a
familiar
certain
because
way.
it was like, well, he only acted right from Labor Day to about St. Patrick's Day. And then,
Labor Day to St. Patrick's, so the winter months. Let's talk
Right.
about that.
Okay.
so he'd be act right for cuffing season. His
I wouldn't
birthday's
say-
in
When
December.
you say act right, what does that mean?
That means that it's just like responding to phone calls. I would see him, all this other stuff.
Okay.
Because we got in this very messed up cycle where he knew I didn't like being ignored because it's disrespectful. And he didn't like people coming to his house unannounced because it's disrespectful. So then he would have these moments where like there'd be stuff going on with him, but he wouldn't tell me.
Mm-hmm.
He would just be ignoring me. And then I'd show up at his house unannounced. And so
Nice.
he'd be like,
This reminds me of those like TV shows where like people are running through the doors, like
Yes.
and, like chasing each other.
fucking
Yeah.
faulty towers. And so I one day I showed up and he was like, I knew you were gonna do this. And I was like, then I guess I'm not unannounced. And so
Very soap opera.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it was always this kind of stupid cycle. And there was one time I was over there and I had a ringtone where you could record, so on this phone I had, you could record your voice and make your recorded voice your ringtone, right? And so I had his number saved as do not answer. And
I had
then,
the same thing.
but also I had a recording of my voice for my do not answer numbers that said, this is a do not answer number calling you.
Oh, I love
So
that.
I didn't have to look at my
I
phone.
should have done that.
I could just hear it. This is a do not answer number calling you. And I'm just like, see what this motherfucker wants.
This is like Richie Rich.
I literally
you know,
had
like-
that. I had that in my phone. It was like, he is bad for you. Do not answer.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but the thing is, I had
Yeah.
a couple do not answer numbers that I did finally want to answer. So I had to start going, do not answer the mechanic, do not answer the dummy, do not answer UPS. So, because I was like, sometimes I'm saving as do not answer and then I wouldn't know who it was.
Mhm.
I'm like, bullshit. I'm
Did,
like,
did
what?
you ever answer?
Well, it depends on what the word was after. Like, what is the adjective for this do not answer?
Okay.
Because it'd be like, oh, do not answer. I think I was like, do not answer moving guy. And I'm like, well, I'm not responding to him. Fuck him. Because you still lost your name. So one day we had a, it was him ignoring me. I show up, and he, of course, was not, the communication was bad. And so I was just crying and I was upset and I left. And then I got in my car and I was like, he's going to go to bed. And I'm going to go home and cry. I can't accept that. So I went back in the house. So I went
Yeah.
back to the door. He let me back in. And I put my phone down and I said, call my phone. He said, what? I said, just call my phone. And then he hears the recording of my voice going, this is a do not answer number calling you.
Mhm.
And he's like, what's that about? I said, also, my friends don't know your name. He's like, what? I said, all my friends know you as the mechanic. Have a nice night. And then I left.
And that was the last time you saw him?
No, I still saw him for 7 more years.
See, I have
pulled him to his job one day with divorce papers. True divorce papers.
real
from-
ones.
Yeah, I got.
Even though you weren't in a relationship.
Girl, I Googled divorce papers, saw what they look like. I went on Microsoft, printed them up, pulled up his job with a manila envelope. He kept them for years. And then when he went out of the country to work, he sent me alimony. It's just a running gag.
Were you doing this to show him how seriously you were taking this, even though you were kind of like doing cartoonish things?
Yeah.
And he never took the hint, or would
Like, how
he
did it
come
finally
back?
end?
How,
Yeah.
yeah, how do you break
I
the
moved.
cycle?
You moved.
I moved.
Physically moved away.
I went to LA.
And he didn't call.
He wouldn't see me before I moved because it hurt him too much for me to, because I was leaving. But I was like, but I had 2 boyfriends in between
Yeah.
the time that I knew him. So I'm like, you never, and I've dated his best friend for a second. So just like, you didn't do anything to show me that you give a shit. because you're saying all of these things, but you're doing nothing.
Right.
So I moved, and within like the first 3 months of me being gone is how he met and then he met his wife.
Well, that's like a cold turkey thing because it's like going to, it's like going to a rehab center. You moving, you're the drug. That's what keeps coming back.
For both of you.
Right.
Right. You're down the street.
Right.
Like, and you're, for both of you. And it's like, one person acts to go get the drugs and the other person is the dealer. And it goes back and forth.
It takes two to be in like a toxic thing.
Because I said to him one day, I said, we have an abusive relationship. And he's like, I never hit you. I said, if you ever touch me,
the first thing he said.
Right. I already told your mom I'm not going to kill you.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you ever touch me, they never find your body. What I said was, we're in a mostly abusive relationship. So after a while, he does the thing where he's ignoring me, and then I didn't show up. I was like, fuck this. I'm not popping up. You've made it very clear that you don't want to talk to me. So I'm going to listen. So I don't care about if this is disrespectful. I don't care if this is hurtful or whatever. I'm going to listen to you. So if you want this to be done, fine, we're done. And I didn't say anything. And then, because like he would I would usually pull this stunt on a Sunday or a Wednesday. I don't know why I would always line up that way. And so this time I was just like, I'm not showing up. I'm not doing it. So eventually I hear from him and he asked me to come over. I was like, all right, I come over. And mind you, by this point I was living somewhere else. So I wasn't 12 minutes down the street. I was 30 something minutes away. But it's Georgia. 30 minutes is 5 feet.
Right,
like we don't care.
Yeah.
And so I get to the house and we're sitting there and he goes, and I might have been there for 10 minutes. And he goes, why didn't you pop up? I said, what do you mean? He said, you didn't pop up. He said, usually when this happens, you pop up. And I was like, oh, I finally listened to you. You didn't want to see me. You didn't want to talk to me. So I finally listened. And then he acted right for 6 months because I spooked him. Because he thought I was actually going to leave.
He was going to lose his drug.
Well, did you ever did you want to be in a relationship during this?
Yeah, he knew this. But also when I met him, he was 25 and had a house and 2 cars.
Okay.
So by rules, you trap his ass. I was 23. He was 25. He had a house in his name.
Yeah.
Right.
He owned a home and owned 2 vehicles. You trap this fucker. You marry this man.
So you're saying he was like good on paper?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And awful everywhere else. Not that, I mean, it was fun to hang out with.
I mean, you must have had like a real connection.
I
to
did.
keep
Like
going
this is
back
the
for
first.
7
Yes,
years,
this is like
8
the first man that I loved. We didn't rarely say it to each other, but there were like times where things were really good, and times that things were trash.
Right. We assume there was good times for this to keep coming back together.
Right. Because my mom at one point said to me, she's like, you have to tell me about the good things that happened with him because I can't understand why you keep dealing with this boy.
Right.
Because one of my homegirls was just like, you can't talk to me about this man anymore. She said other words, but this seems like a nice podcast.
It's not that nice.
But you know what my homegirl said.
We talk about dating here, and in this, I love this story. I don't love that it happened, but it's a commiseration. This
It's
show is a commiseration.
Classic
Right, there's someone
situationship tale.
out. There's someone out there who's in the middle of this with their own mechanic.
Leave.
What do you say? Hi, go.
Move
Where
away.
are they? Go move to
Move out of
California.
state. Become a famous comedian.
Right, because here's the
Write
thing.
a book.
Because I remember I was at his house one day and I realized, like, because we'd only ever gone on like 1, maybe 2 dates.
Ever.
Because a recession hit when I met him.
I thought he's great on paper.
Here's the thing. He worked at a dealership.
Okay.
And so people were coming in and were getting like $100 oil change. But this is 2008. The recession hit.
Yeah.
People weren't getting $100, $200 oil changes. They were going to anybody down the street. So like he used to make, so he made $25 an hour and he used to make 80 hours a week. And then the recession hit and he went from making 80 hours a week to 13 hours a week.
What about a pizza date?
He couldn't pay his bills.
Okay.
The last thing he's gonna do is buy me the man. Like he
Also, you're 25 and 23.
Yeah.
The idea of dating is a little different than.
No. We know to go outside. You know to go outside. You know, go outside and go do a thing.
I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying, like, I can understand that, like, when you meet at that age, the idea it gets comfy cozy.
Well,
our
first date
recession ends, and then you go, well, we hang out this way,
Right.
Like, I can understand.
Well, because it hit so hard, and then he was gone for a year because he went overseas, and then, like, I dated 2 other people in the time that I knew him, but we never really stopped talking to each other. This is the thing. while I was writing this book, I had to the dating chapter is the thing that affected me the most because it's the thing that made me the most sad. Because I had to figure out how to be nice to myself about decisions that I made when I was 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 29.
I mean, there's a line from your book. Candace pulled it for us, and it says, when you convince yourself that most men don't want you, you live in a place of scarcity.
Right.
So for someone who's living in that place, that were like, what were the red flags that made you realize it? And how do you like find the way out? Like, how do you...
You don't.
You don't?
Because you keep getting shown you have to like yourself more than the reality of your situation. Because the reason I had to forgive myself for those things is because I want to get married, I want to have children, and I'm 40. And I'm nowhere closer to it than I was when I was 23.
Well, I mean,
I'm
I feel
further
you...
away from it than I was at 23. Because at least there were motherfuckers to block in my phone.
Right.
There's no one I'm blocking in my phone. There's no one I'm just going, well, let me go ahead and save this man as do not answer with his name. So maybe just see if maybe he does hit me up. No.
But don't you think, like, I guess, like, those men that you're blocking in your phone, those were distractions. Like, having nobody to block in your phone might be a better thing than having people to block in your phone. To look positively.
Well, I agree with that.
I don't know that you don't know they're doing a distraction until it doesn't work out.
But like now,
Right.
okay, you say you're in the same place, but now you have the knowledge of what kind of people to avoid, right? And what you're in. Like, I'm sure from that situation, you're like, these are the things that I liked about this guy, and these are the things that I didn't.
I think that's so hard. I want to believe that too. Like, I'm 39, single, and sitting here going, you know, feeling of very much what you're saying, where you're like, you start doing the math on things. You go at 23, I got time, whatever, and then at 39, you go, oh, well, in 10 years, the kid would be 8 years old and I'll be 50. You know, you do that kind of math. So, and then you go, well, I keep making the same mistakes. Why do I keep putting my time and energy into the thing that, and again, it goes back to the drug analogy. It's like, I'm addicted to the same thing in each thing. You know?
Well, now you're dealing with the issue that I've had now is that now it's not the younger guy who's like, oh, he's just trying to figure things out and all this other stuff, right? Because that was cute. Now it's, I don't have time for the cute. Also, I'm doing well.
Mm-hmm.
The thing a man loves is a woman who's not doing well.
Explain
Because we have convinced men that the only reason a woman is with him is because she needs him to survive. So that's why women with money have a harder time finding a mate, because men are convinced that if you can't provide for her financially, she doesn't need you. So since my dependency to be inside and to have lights and water and to be literally indoors,
right,
isn't dependent upon you. Well, men don't need women. No, we need. Why? Like, women don't need. Of course, I need a man. Trash day is Tuesday. What are you talking about?
Well, why do we need men?
Right.
But it's like,
you want someone to make
I'm 5'4". That's why I need a fucking
get something off the
things
shelf.
Are
yeah.
high. Right. Trash day is Tuesday.
Well, I would also say, like, you know, I talked about this last night. It's like, and I've said this on this show, like, the only thing that can ruin my life is a relationship. You know, but
this is the thing. You can't say I want to be in one. It's like when people say the term starving artist, right?
Okay, yeah.
You can't say that the thing that you want to do with your life is slowly killing you. So you can't say that you want to be in a relationship, but it also will ruin your life.
That's fair. Yeah.
So either you want to be with a bitch or you don't. And it sounds like you don't. And it sounds like you talk about wanting to be with one when you really don't want to be with one.
Well, that could be the case. No, I do think, like, life is good. Like, that's kind of the same. I see eye to eye with you where it's like, the need isn't for
companionship.
Well, the need is companionship, I guess.
Is either companionship or pussy. So what you want?
How about companion pussy? How do I combine the two?
It sounds like you want a relationship. Ding dong. I'll say this. I'm in a place right now where I just ended a situation with a gentleman, a guy that I was seeing.
How long were you guys seeing each other?
Just a few months, but I've known him for years.
Okay.
And the reason that things didn't move forward is because, you know, he wasn't comfortable where he was in his career to be in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not comfortable with where he was in his career to be in a relationship with him. So I said this to his face, and it's like, it looks like we're on the same page.
Right.
Well, do you think that's do you feel that's you growing up seeing that, or do you think that like could you have seen that at 25?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was trying to get with a dude because he had a house and 2 cars.
Well, I think
fair.
the point there, which makes a lot of sense, is like the more successful that you become as a woman. I don't think it's like, oh, so many men are intimidated by you and don't want to date you,
Yes,
but it's
it
like
is.
I know. I think it's like that. Your standards are like someone who's also has their shit together and makes maybe as much or even more money than you, which is harder to find the more money you make.
But that and it's to the point that I was saying, like that guy whose job isn't together, who's not ready in his career.
Yeah.
That relationship could ruin your life.
Could, because I would have to spend all my time building him up. Here's the thing
building him up, right?
Right.
So,
we want to make this assumption that men aren't intimidated. They are. And it's like, if you have been told that you need to do a certain thing to be able, I have been with men who have made less than me and aren't doing as much as I'm doing, and they have resented me for it, for just existing in a different place.
Right.
Do you resent them also for?
No, because I'm making the choice to talk to you.
Okay.
Now, if I was like, for instance, this last guy who I could easily see myself marrying, I truly love this man. We love each other. But I can see him resenting me for being more successful. And I could see me resenting him for me paying all the bills in my house.
Right.
Because I told him, if your draw's going to be in my house, you got to come in this bitch with a certain amount of dollars every month. And he ain't got it.
So was there resentment at the time it ended, or were you getting ahead of it?
There couldn't be no resentment because his drawers never got in my house. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Neither of us ever, like, the thing we did do that was different was just like, we at one point took like physical intimacy out of the equation.
Which helps.
Which did help, because a lot of my friends were like, I don't understand why you're doing this. And it's just like, well, why would y'all stop having sex? It's like, because I've done so many, because this man would put me in a dick haze. That's why.
Mm. And also, you know, that there is an element of like sex, we know it.
Sex, we know it. So I know the
let's-
sex is amazing.
And it alters, it alters your decision making.
Yes, because we've all been in a decision where a dick hits you right. You're like, hey, what do you need? What do you need for me to get this dick again? What do you want to go to law
pay your
school?
rent.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's true. What do you want me to be like? How do you want me to act? I'll do it.
I will help you.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the issue, is I will help you. I'm not paying for law school, but I will help you. What
I'll tutor you.
Right.
Cue cards? What you need? What legally? What are we doing? And so it was just like, we both were like, we need to take this out of the equation. We need to figure things out. We love each other. We care about each other. But at the same time, it was just like, we both need to be responsible adults enough to know this isn't going to work.
I think anyone who's going through the situationship right now, who's dealt with this in their past, they're going to love Dulcé's book. And Dulcé's so funny, so great, so amazing.
Stop flirting with me.
I'm telling everyone how much I love you, okay?
I love you too.
It's called Hello Friends,
Yes.
Story of Dating, Destiny, and Day Jobs. Anywhere you buy books, we're going to have a link in the bio of this episode to make sure you can get to the buying of the book quicker.
And I'm on Audible. I read my own book.
You did it. You did the voice?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, you
Which
gotta
I
do
did.
it.
Which people were always like, "Oh my god, did you read it yourself?" I was like, "Who the fuck else is gonna read it?"
Candace did the Audible.
Ooh.
Loved it. So
Thank
for anyone looking for
you.
a recommendation, full recommendation from Candace on the Audible version of the book. And
Thank you so much.
listen, we love Dulcé. We want to have you back. I mean, this is such a fun conversation because
Yes.
it's
I
like,
want more. I want to
it's
know
real.
more.
Oh,
details.
I'm bad at
Yeah.
this. I listen. I can spot an ain't shit dude from 50 paces. A good man, I mean, girl, bitch, good luck. But if your boyfriend's
tough
about
out
to be a
there,
problem,
yeah.
I've had 2 separate friends, and 2 of them had at least 3 boyfriends, 3 on one side and 2 on the other. Where I met the dude and been like, nope.
and you were right.
Every
You have a
single,
sense?
every
Yeah.
time.
I'll show her a picture of Mike. See what she
Let me
thinks.
tell you,
Right.
I don't know a good man, but I'm telling you, an ain't shit dude.
We got to
fresh out
do a
the gate.
YouTube with you here and have people send in their guy
Yes.
that they're not sure about.
I love that.
And
Next
then
episode.
write the
yeah.
email and send us the picture, and then you call out whether they're
gotta
an ain't
feel
shit
him,
dude.
though.
You gotta feel his energy.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay,
I
maybe
gotta
they
be
send in.
present.
Maybe they send in a whole dating app, like the whole dating app profile of the guy.
Yeah.
But listen, if anything, I'm bad. If anything does not give me results, it is a dating app.
Go watch The Daily Show whenever Dulcé hosts, and go get the book. Hello, Friends, Stories of Dating, Destiny, and Day Jobs. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And that's our Sunday special. We'll be back on
Wednesday. Bye.
Boom.
The You Up podcast is produced by Candice Maniga and Shannon Sassone. Editing by Jorge Morales-Pico and Shannon Sassone. Social media by Candice Maniga. Be sure to follow at u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.